All right, guys, welcome back. This is part two of the Kingdom episode 87 post show. Again, we're with Nightshade and Aeon are the guest characters from the series that are with us. For those of you who are coming back for part two, I want to thank you. I was having some technical I believe what you were trying to say is you were having technical difficulties, were you not? Yes, my phone flagged me down that I was at 5% battery. So I had to go plug in my phone and I decided to rehydrate and just rest my voice for a few minutes. Had that phone died, I would have lost the stream completely. So yeah, because I tether my phone to get to get my internet. So yeah, had that phone died, yeah, we would have lost the feed and I would have been like, you know, you would have been dumbfounded, just like one of these hedgehogs. What is your issue with the hedgehogs? I mean, seriously, Nightshade. Well, I've learned you can't trust Sonia, that's for sure, and you certainly can't trust the blue hedgehog. Okay, what did Sonic ever do to you? All he did was he attacked you that one time you from absorbing Sonia's powers. Was that, I mean, he was trying to save Equestria. Isn't that where you are at this point, Nightshade? Is trying to save Equestria? What I'm doing is not your concern, human. Not your concern at all. Elijah knows what I'm up to. Why don't you ask him? I like that. Okay, I got to do this right. Elijah, very, very polite, and meanwhile, Tails was contacted by Shadow. Thank you. Yes, I do remember. Thank you, Elijah. Meanwhile, I'm trying to get to the bottom of what Nightshade's hatred slash racist attitude is toward the hedgehogs. Yes, I personally would like to know this as well. I haven't done anything to you, Nightshade. My hatred towards you hedgehogs is not your concern, Aeon. Fine, I'm sorry that I have a bias toward hedgehogs. Are you happy? You got an apology. But I still don't trust you. I still don't. You still have to prove yourself to me. And I've already said I have no intention of stabbing you in the back. Behind my back. Plush, I came from a nightmare of a literature club. What did I miss? You haven't missed anything, Plush. I had to, basically, my phone was at 5%, so I had to go plug it into the wall behind me. And I was getting really raspy, so I wanted to give my voice like 10 minutes, get some water to kind of, rehydrate, whatever. So we left off with Tails contacted by Shadow. And then this is where Twilight now learns that Fluttershy was corrupted. And then in turn, Twilight tells, oh yeah, because Spike did tell Twilight and Shadow of the incident he had with Rarity about how she destroyed Sweetie Belle's dress. And then that's when they contacted Tails. So then Shadow tells Tails, look, Fluttershy lied to you. Rarity never left town. Rarity's still in town. In fact, she destroyed Sweetie Belle's dress and confronted Spike, and they said she wasn't acting herself. And then Tails tells Shadow and Twilight, yeah, I had a similar situation with Fluttershy this morning, where she was very, just didn't seem like herself, didn't give me a kiss goodbye when she left. So again, that's hint number 2 to Twilight that something is off with the elements of harmony. Again, whether they're just corrupted or she at the very least knows that they've been corrupted at the very least. Plush says it was very messed up in there. Things went down. Some people died. Anyway, yeah, Evil Pony's at again. Jesus. So, yes. After that, we go to, I want to say we go to Sweet Apple Acres. Yeah, we go to Sweet Apple Acres. I think that was the next step. So, Rainbow Dash shows up, and now we know, okay, Rainbow Dash clearly left the Pegasus ball game to go meet up with Sonic. She's been given her pecking orders to go to Scrapple Acres and tell Applejack the plan and to get Applejack to steal the Chaos Emeralds. So Rainbow Dash goes into the farmhouse, doesn't knock on the door. Applebloom kind of confronts her, like, "Hey, why don't you knock? You can't just like walk into some pony's house." And Rainbow Dash gives like an arrogant slash, I can't even say half-hearted apology. She's basically just like, "Yeah, whatever, sorry, kid. Where's Applejack?" And when has Rainbow Dash ever called Applebloom kid? So Applebloom immediately, she's not a dummy. She immediately picks up that something isn't right. Then Rainbow Dash is acting funny. Asks where Applejack is. So Applebloom thinking, okay, maybe Rainbow Dash is having a bad day. She knows that Rainbow Dash went missing from the Pegasus ball game. It was on TV. So she kind of defensively tells Rainbow Dash where to find Applejack. So Rainbow Dash goes out to the barn. Applebloom, having pretty good instincts of her own, decides to follow Rainbow Dash out. She gives it a minute and kind of has that internal debate. You guys don't know it was an internal debate, but she did. She had that internal debate, like something's wrong. Maybe I should go follow her. So we get out to the barn. And when Rainbow Dash gets there, she is shocked to find Knuckles basically tied up to these barn hooks, being knocked out by Applejack, as we would find out. Knuckles and Applejack were working in the barn about the time when the elements of harmony got corrupted and converted to the elements of nightmares. Applejack went off the deep end, like we've seen with Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, and Rarity. So she basically cold cocks Knuckles, catches him off guard, bucks him in the side of the face, and knocks him out. Knuckles didn't see it coming. And Rainbow Dash basically asks, hey, what happened to Knuckles? And Applejack says, about the time you left your Pegasus ball game is about the time I knocked him out. And Rainbow Dash says something about, we have to go get the element, go get the Chaos Emeralds. And Applejack said, I'm way ahead of you. I've already done it. Already got the Chaos Emeralds right here in this bag. And then Applebloom shows up, basically asking questions about what happened to Knuckles? Why is he knocked out and hanging from hooks? And Rainbow Dash doesn't even hesitate, not having a conscience at this point and being completely corrupted, just rushes over to Applebloom and punches her in the side of the face, knocking her out. Applejack is kind of like, why the hell did you, now I got to explain this. Basically, that's the type of attitude. So make a long story short, Rainbow Dash tells Applejack the orders: take the Chaos Emeralds, get over to the Sonic at the tower of the Castle of the Two Sisters, and we'll meet up with the rest of the team there. Just go there with the Chaos Emeralds. Rainbow Dash then flies off to gather the rest of the team, and we don't see her again until the very end of the episode. The assumption is she went and gathered the team because the team gathered by the end of the episode. So didn't want to go into all that detail because that would have added a ton more time to the episode, and I didn't feel it necessary. So we just, skip ahead. Next scene, we go to Camelot Castle, I believe, where Twilight and Shadow have arrived. Meanwhile, Twilight and Shadow have arrived at Camelot Castle, where they will unfortunately have to divulge the truth of what happened to the elements of harmony and why the ponies who are supposed to be there are not. Yes, it sucks to be Twilight right now. I couldn't agree more. I would not like to be in Twilight's shoes right now, Hedgehog. But I digress and let the host take over. Plush, I have to go. I hope to see you soon, Michael. Thanks for showing up, Plush. I appreciate it. I know this is a long live stream and I needed a break. That my phone was dead, so I had to get that thing plugged in. So I couldn't really do that without without stopping the live stream, unfortunately. So we continue. Basically, I don't want this thing to drag out any longer. So basically, Twilight now has to tell Celestia of everything that's going on. Everything about how she trusted Sunset and that the elements are missing and possibly corrupted. Discord gets a great laugh out of it. Mainly because he gets to poke fun at Twilight some more about how she always makes bad decisions that either lead to Equestria being attacked or make things worse. Whatever the case is, So Celestia actually takes the news of this pretty well overall. We've seen in the past she hasn't been kind to Twilight when she has messed up in the series. But I think she understands where Twilight and Shadow are coming from. Twilight explains the situation like, I trusted Sunset because nobody, Sonic and Darkswirl would not think to look for the would not think to look for the elements of harmony there. I can't just put them in the tree of harmony because Sonic can steal them, or Darkswirl can't steal them, but Sonic could because he's element. Obviously, he's the element of magic. He can take from the tree of harmony. So she did not want to run that risk. And she knows that Shadow is no match for Sonic. So she felt that Sunset was the best option, considering Sonic or Darkstorm would not think to look for the elements of harmony there. So after that, the guard comes in and notifies Celestia that it's time for dinner. So Celestia invites Shadow and Twilight to stay for dinner so they can finish their conversation. We go to the dance. We skip ahead to the dance. Basically, nothing major happens at the dance per se. The reason why I say the dance is a big deal, it's going to play a factor. The Sweetie Belle Spike angle is going to play a major factor in the outcome of the next episode. You'll see why. I don't want to divulge anything, but so what happens in this in the brief moment that I do show the dance scene, them at the dance, we learn that Scootaloo and Rumble have broken up. Rumble basically, for whatever reason, has fallen under, if I can call it, Diamond Tiara's charm. That's basically what happens. That, and I don't know what it is with Scootaloo, or if he's just not into Scootaloo for whatever reason. I think it's because she's always been kind of tomboyish, like Rainbow Dash, where she's just very much into athletics and stuff like that. So something happened where Rumble, and I don't think I'm ever going to divulge the details of why Rumble really broke up with Scootaloo or what the deal was that led to the breakup. They just broke up. I couldn't think of anything more to do with them. The interesting thing is what happens after that when Scootaloo leaves. Right before she leaves, she basically tells Sweetie Belle, look, I don't see Applebloom here. I miss her. I want to go hang out with her. It's better than hanging out at some stupid dance anyway. And Sweetie Belle was kind of taken aback by it at first, like, huh? Like, you would ask Applebloom to dance? So, like, she's not sure if Scootaloo is kind of like joking around about it or whatever. But so Spike encourages her to go out and chase them down. So Sweetie Belle meets up with Scootaloo outside, and she basically questions Scootaloo like, "Hey, what's going on with you and Applebloom? Do you have something you want to tell me?" Or, and she basically apologizes to what happened. And the seeds are starting to get planted that perhaps Scootaloo or Scootaloo Bloom or Apple Loot, however you want to like look at it, the seeds are been planted. And the reason I'm going along with this maybe having a Scootaloo Applebloom ship is, I've planted the seeds where Applebloom just doesn't seem to be into the boys. She kind of had a crush on Chris and Sonic, but she doesn't really have interests in any other boys. So, and she knows that Applejack has had lesbian experiences. Obviously, we know Applejack is full-fledged lesbian after My Little Pony ended. Obviously, she married Rainbow Dash, whatever. But I've always kind of had this notion that Applejack had something romantic with Rah-Rah while they were kids. It was, and I think it could be safely insinuated now that we know that Applejack in the canon series is lesbian with Rainbow Dash. So this is kind of like Applebloom, kind of like, well, my sister was a lesbian, so maybe, so maybe. And then you have the Scootaloo aspect, which we learned in My Little Pony. Scootaloo has lesbian aunts that take care of her when Scootaloo's parents are away. So Scootaloo and Applebloom kind of both have this lesbian connection. So that's kind of why I'm tying this in to each other. Why I'm kind of going to tie Scootaloo and Applebloom together, maybe. Because they do have the lesbian ties. Applejack being Applebloom's connection, and Scootaloo's aunts, who take care of Scootaloo while her parents are gone. So that's kind of why I've decided to do that and maybe plant some seeds for that. That's to be continued, so to speak. I'm getting a lot of good reactions to Scootaloo and Applebloom. I think they'd be a cute couple, to be honest with you. Scootaloo would be really cute. I think they would be. And I think it makes sense given their pasts with their family. Applejack, I don't know. It was never stated that Applejack and Rah-Rah had a love connection, but it's highly insinuated that they could have, especially knowing what we know about Applejack and Rainbow Dash from the canon series. So, again, it can be safely assumed. Michael, I have to go for the night. Hope to see you next time, probably next stream or Discord. Absolutely. Again, I'm sorry for the length of this live stream. I'm getting a lot of chats, so I'm trying to read the chats as we go while trying to stay on task. So to continue on, shortly after this scene ends, Sweetie Belle goes back with Spike. The scene ends. Then we go back to Camelot. And basically, they're having this conversation. Well, actually, no. We go back to Sweet Apple Acres first. And Knuckles wakes up on the couch. And he freaks out. He hears Big Mac, and he completely goes on the defensive because Applejack bucked him, and now he can't trust. Knuckles feels like he can't trust anybody, so he's really tense. And it's when you first wake up and you get woken up by some pony, and you're on the defensive. So Applebloom basically tells Knuckles to calm down. That's when Knuckles notices that Applebloom is beaten up. And that's Applebloom basically tells Knuckles what happened, who she was attacked by. Knuckles then divulges he was attacked by Applejack, which shocks Big Mac. Knuckles then has this premonition about what happened with Applejack, about the time Sonic powered up. Shortly after that, that's when Applejack started acting weird. So he immediately gets this premonition to go rush out to the Master Emerald to go check the Chaos Emeralds to make sure that they're all, all still around and on their pedestals surrounding the Master Emerald, which keeps them protected. And the only other being, as we know, that can touch the Chaos Emeralds is Applejack. So he rushes out there and realizes, son of a bitch, Applejack stole the Chaos Emeralds. She not only attacked me, but she stole the Chaos Emeralds. Oh, that poor bastard. Just goes to show you can't trust any pony these days. What exactly are you insinuating, Hedgehog, that you can't trust me? Will you two just give it a rest and just see how it plays out? God, you guys are ruining my show with this bickering. I'm sorry, I don't mean to ruin your show, but this hedgehog had some pretty strong insinuations there, didn't he? I'm merely just dishing it back out, Nightshade. You've had this issue with hedgehogs. Well, stop. I'm trying to do a show here. This isn't Jerry Springer, you two. Jesus. I apologize. Yes, I apologize as well. Continue. I know you're trying to get through your live stream. My apologies. I'm sorry, Elijah. I can't take a chill pill. In case you haven't noticed, I get to protect the stupid blue rat, while Aeon here gets to go have fun in Camelot. Doing Celestia knows what. What are you planning, Aeon? I want to know right now. I've already explained this to you. Sorry. I've already explained this to you, Nightshade. I have no ulterior motive. What more do I need to say? I'm stuck in the middle. Elijah, thank you. I need help here. I'm stuck in the middle of this. You know, it's amazing. Some people are going to watch this and think I'm a complete, what's the word I'm looking for here where you hear voices in your head? Schizo? Yeah. Ay. Not a schizo, though. I'm just having fun with these live streams. I'm trying to make it entertaining, too, so. Schizo. I love it. Thank you. No, but, no, I'm just trying to make it as entertaining as possible. Not a schizo. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah. So Knuckles realizes that he's been betrayed by Applejack, and he immediately decides, I need to call Twilight and Shadow. They need to be aware of what's going on. So when he makes contact with Twilight and Shadow via the communicators, Twilight is really startled by the tone that Knuckles has. And she's like, oh my God, Knuckles, yeah, Shadow and I are having dinner in Camelot. That's a pretty good Twilight impersonation. I like it. I wish I had something to say. I will refrain. Not to interrupt the show again. Go on. So Celestia, of course, here's the whole conversation. Once that conversation ends, obviously Twilight to Celestia, what we really needed to tell you is we think it's best if we go to the Crystal Empire and seek refuge, because we can take safety under the Crystal Heart, because the Crystal Heart protects the Crystal Empire from evil. And no evil spirits and no evil can break in as long as the Crystal Heart is intact. So I'm glad to see that Nightshade and Aeon are respecting me, Elijah. I'm very glad. These two are very tough to control. That's right. No, I'm confused as to what voice I want to do. That's right. No other being shall control me. Really? Explain Dark Swirl. I rest my case. How dare you bring up Dark Swirl? I want to see you be overpowered by some pony. She won't overpower me for long, I promise you that. I will have the complete power soon enough. Listen, it's all thanks to me. Or it will be all thanks to me. Michael Collins gave me. I wonder, will the Crystal Heart repel Dark Swirl and her allies? They absolutely will repel Dark Swirl and her allies. However, there is a limit to how much power it takes to keep a demigod out of the Crystal Empire. The Crystal Heart also has its limits. And I will leave it at that. The Crystal Heart has its limits. It can only protect for so long. That includes Sunset, Nightshade, etc. Yes. Yes. They are not pure of heart. They will not be allowed in the Crystal Empire. Hence why Nightshade has Starlight Glimmer as an ally. Starlight, he has convinced Starlight to give. That's why Nightshade went and saw Starlight, and why he convinced Starlight to give up her cottage in the Equality Village. So that's going to be Nightshade, Aeon, and Sunset's question mark hideout or place of operations eventually. But that's for another episode. Elijah, an ill omen will blow over the Crystal Empire soon. Yes. So again, Celestia urges Twilight and Shadow to take the team and go up to the Crystal Empire, but she's refusing because she does not want to abandon Equestria. She feels like she should share the same fate as her pony kind that she rules over. And she doesn't think it would reflect well if she exiles herself while the rest of the ponies she rules over, suffer. So she wants to share the same fate as her subjects, basically. Which, Shadow thinks is completely foolish. I always think that's the mark of a true leader, to stay and go down with the ship. Michael Collins Gaming, didn't Cadence make that same exact mistake during the Samra incident? Yes, she did. The difference is, I think they wound up salvaging the Crystal Empire. Oh, no, you're right. Because then Cadence wound up going, I believe she stayed with Celestia. I don't remember. No, she wound up staying with Twilight's family. No, oh my God, why can't I remember this? I think she sent Flurryheart to stay with Twilight's family, and then she stayed back in Camelot. But once Sombra took over Camelot, then she fled. I don't remember if it was to Camelot or to Ponyville. I don't remember which castle she went to. I have to go back. Wow, I have to go back. I have not looked at season 2 in like 3 years, so I don't remember all the details for that. Wow, that's a good callback. There, Michael Collins. That's a good callback. So after they make contact with Knuckles, obviously Twilight urges Celestia. Celestia refuses. And then that's when we start getting into the nitty-gritty. Then we go into the closing scene, where Sonic has met up not only with the elements of Nightmares, but now Dark Swirl, Nightshade, and Sunset Shimmer, and Nightmare Moon, and Soletta are now all in Ponyville. And kaboom. That's when the explosion happens. Dark Swirl, all the elements of Nightmares have their elements of harmony. Sonic then uses his element to link it to the elements of Nightmares, so they are all a unified team. This causes a massive explosion in Ponyville. The explosion of power that this creates destroys, probably, as you saw in the photo, most of Ponyville is left in ruins. If it wasn't, unfortunately, certain characters were caught in the epicenter. Other characters were just caught in the shockwave. The explosion was seen from Camelot, as you saw the shock look on Twilight, Shadow, Discord, and Princess Celestia's faces. After the explosion, you kind of see the big mushroom cloud. The secondary mushroom cloud was the sight from what it looked like from Camelot. And that's when we see Twilight and all them react. It was a massive explosion. And it was supposed to show the small sample of what Sonic's power really is. It's massive. Sonic's power, when he's in his werehog form, far exceeds Dark Swirl. She doesn't even realize it. He far exceeds Dark Swirl's power, which is bad news for the heroes. It really is bad news. So I know what you guys are thinking. So how the heck are they going to stop Sonic? Couple of things. Number one, Sonic's power, just like with Harmonic Sonic, it's very short-lived. He can only stay in his Harmonic Sonic form for so long before the power runs out. It's the same thing with the Dark Magic. It's a very short transformation. He's got to get the job done fast. Michael Collins. Wait, if it was massive, was it about the size of an atomic bomb? No, no, nothing like that. I know it looked like an atomic bomb. The whole point, it was supposed to just be this big explosion of power, and then it just kind of turns into like a mini mushroom cloud. The issue is when you have a massive explosion like that, it causes a massive shockwave, and the shockwave itself. If you saw the explosion in Beirut a year ago, I think it was a year ago, exactly 1 year ago, you had that explosion in Beirut at the fireworks factory, and you saw the massive damage just the shockwave caused. So, the shockwave goes outward, and it's all that power that just knocks the buildings over. And you also saw it like Rainbow Dash. If you guys watched Double Rainbow, same thing. The sonic boom is what caused the majority of the damage to the town. You had the epicenter, and unfortunately, a certain pony's family got stuck in the epicenter. You'll learn who that was. Yeah, it's a lot of characters and background characters die, and you'll learn that in the next episode. A lot of characters. Yeah, it's there's actually two characters that I'm really one of them has to die. One of the two have to die. I don't want to kill either one. So the town can be rebuilt, but lives can't. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Eventually, Ponyville will return to its prominence. So after that, we basically come to the end of the episode where we find out that Dark Swirl, Nightmare Moon, Soletta, Sunset Shimmer, and Aeon are all going to go off to Camelot to confront Celestia and take over Camelot and basically kill Celestia, kill Discord, kill Twilight, kill Shadow. That's basically what their plan is. We also find out that Dark Swirl wants the Chaos Emeralds. The main reason she's taking the Chaos Emeralds is to keep them safe. She wants control of the Chaos Emeralds for the time being. And eventually, Dark Swirl is going to put the Chaos Emeralds back at the Master Emerald Temple because, again, she has control of Applejack. So Applejack can basically take the Chaos Emeralds whenever Dark Swirl needs them. So in order to prevent Knuckles from getting his hands back on the Chaos Emeralds, Dark Swirl wants the Chaos Emeralds until the main battle is over and all of the heroes are dead. She wants them for safekeeping, not so much to give them to Shadow. But, we find out, you'll have to just wait and see. But yeah, with Dark Swirl having the Chaos Emeralds, it makes things a little interesting in Camelot. And then Dark Swirl basically is leaving Nightshade. Yes, you've mentioned me again, human. I get to protect the stupid blue hedgehog that I don't even like. Fun and yay for me. Personally, I'd rather be with Aeon because he's the one rat I trust, and the black and red eyeshadow hedgehog is not so bad either. Mainly because I want to do it for Twilight. I do respect Twilight immensely. I have nothing but respect for that pony. And I kind of do wish her happiness. I wish Twilight no ill will. So, yes, I would like to have the opportunity to stick it to Soletta myself. That's why I wish I were in Canterlot and not in Ponyville. Michael Collins comments, does Equestria in this universe have a line of succession? Because killing all the leadership will decapacitate the nation. Yes, there is a line. Technically, it goes Celestia and Luna. Then I would gather it would be either Cadence or Twilight. Cadence ruling the Crystal Empire. I think would turn it down, just because the Crystal Empire has always seemed to have its own identity. And I think even in Harmony and Chaos, I've referenced the Crystal Empire as being separate from Equestria, from the kingdom, because it seems like Crystal Empire has like its own religion, and it kind of has like its own cult. I don't want to say cult, but they have their own style of living that doesn't match up with the rest of Equestria. Like, even with the way the crystal ponies look, they're crystallized. And it takes the power of the crystal heart being restored for the main six to become crystallized. So they kind of have like their own society there. So I always thought the Crystal Empire was a separate kingdom from Equestria. So, you know, I would think Cadence, I think it would go Twilight after Twilight before Cadence. I think that, at least in my world, that's how it would go. Elijah Dodorich comments, all in all, the Nightmare 5 in Sonic would be a serious boss fight. It is a serious boss fight, and there's a reason this next episode is probably going to push 90 minutes, because there is so many things I want to dive into with each element of Nightmare. They're each going to have their own separate agenda, and I really want to get into that. Of course, they've all been corrupted, and they all have their own agendas, because being evil kind of makes you selfish as well. So they each have their own selfish agenda, and they're all their own thing that they want to achieve. And in Sonic's own arrogance, he wants to be left alone. He wants to prove himself and prove his power, and he wants it to be one-on-one, or he wants to take it personally to defeat the heroes himself, like the main heroes, the Knuckles, the Silver, and Shadow. Basically, he wants to have that to himself. Some more comments from Michael Collins. So it's more like a vessel of Equestria. Vassal seemed like a more fitting term than puppet. Well, if you're referring to the Crystal Empire, I think I do think that that's the lineage. I always felt like Cadence and Shining Armor ruled the Crystal Empire, and that's just a separate thing on its own. I always felt like the Crystal Ponies had their own lifestyle that differs from the rest of Equestria. That's why I just feel like the line of succession, Twilight would be third. And in all honesty, now that Luna has turned into Nightmare Moon, Twilight essentially would be ruling the kingdom if something were to happen to Celestia. I think that's how the line of succession should go. So the episode ends, and we kind of see this really exaggerated evil Sonic close up, and I took a flack on that from Plush. Plush was like, "Oh, we get another evil Sonic picture." Yeah, yeah, you do. But the battle lines have been drawn. So the battle lines have been drawn. We're going to have a two battle front. We're going to have this battle in Camelot, and then this battle in Ponyville. And eventually, it's going to go kind of wonky, and yeah, you're going to see how it all ties in, especially with the bigger characters like your Nightshades and your Aeons and your Spikes. We'll just have to wait and see. Yusef has joined the chat, and he says hello. Hello, Yusef. Good to hear from you again. Now it's time for the Eggman to take over with a really big announcement. Yes, it's time for my Eggman-esque big announcement. There's a lot more to the Day of the Dead episodes than just ponies dying. As you know, in Spanish, I took this from the derivation from the Spanish, El Dia de los Muertos, where you honor the dead. One of the things you do is you honor the dead. So I didn't title it that way. I wanted the title to be in English. So the Day of the Dead is not only about, all these ponies being killed and, a lot of these characters dying. That's part of it. The other part of it is the dead coming back to do their part to protect the ones they love. And somebody referenced Cream. I believe it was Michael Collins. Yes, we see Cream return in this episode. Her and Cosmo will return in the next episode. As we know, Cosmo has returned in Harmony and Chaos in season 1. We know Cedrians have the ability to store energy when they die and come back to the living realm. Cream, we didn't know this, but we will find out in the next episode that Cream has joined Cosmo in the afterlife. Cosmo and Cream are going to be granted unlimited temporary powers, meaning they're going to come back for a short period of time that totals the rest of this saga. Cream and Cosmo are back, and they return to this realm. You'll get the details as the next episode progresses, but Cosmo urges to return, and she needs Cream's help. As you will see, we know what happens to Spike when Spike gets pissed. And that's going to happen in the next episode as well. So Cream returning is essential. So again, that's another reason why these episodes are entitled The Day of the Dead, because it's not just about ponies dying. It's about some of these characters having the power to come back from the dead, even if it's for a short period of time. And in this instance, Cosmo and Cream are going to be given more time than normal. Because as we find out, we all know that Cosmo in Sonic X, all of her people died. So now all of her people give their powers to Cosmo and Cream so they can return to Equestria for an extended visit. And it's not just going to be for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's going to be extended. And yes, it becomes very interesting. And I've already tied this in, and I wanted to tie Cream back into the series for a very long time. And the other thing is Cosmo. How is Tails going to react to seeing Cosmo? Especially what we see Fluttershy do to Tails, or attempt to do to Tails. Tails is going to be very conflicted. Yes, Cream and Cosmo's resurrection is temporary. Again, what I was going to mention was Cedrian's, Cosmo's race. They have the ability to come back to life when they store up energy in the afterlife. That's why Cosmo told Tails, I will always be with you, and we'll see each other. From what I understand, Cosmo can return to the living when she stores up power in the afterlife, but it's short-lived. It's very short-lived. But in this case, I didn't want to spoil the whole story, but you guys will find out why Cosmo. I'll explain why Cosmo and Cream return. It will be explained. But I knew I was doing this. The second that I came up with the Day of the Dead concept, I knew Cream and Cosmo had to be part of it. They have to be. Especially what we see happen to Spike, and what we see Tails needs Cosmo in this episode, in the next episode. Otherwise, he's going to die. He needs Cosmo's protection. So Cosmo, you'll see. And again, the stay is going to be permanent. Or not permanent. It's not permanent, but it's extended from what it normally would be. Because the Cedrians all give their power to Cosmo and Cream. Kind of, Yusef, it's similar to that, but it's going to be longer than 24 hours. Much longer. Basically, it's going to... Basically, Cosmo and Cream are going to be around to the end of the saga into part of season 4. Into season 4. basically is how long they have, which I'm going to gander is about 3 weeks to a month of time that will elapse between now and the start of season 4. I want to say in my head, the timeline is about 3 weeks to a month that they have, because they will run out of power at some point in season 4. But the interesting thing is seeing how Spike and Cream are going to react to each other, and seeing how Tails reacts to being around Cosmo again, especially with Fluttershy being corrupted. So, and Fluttershy, and again, I don't want to spoil things. Fluttershy is completely devoid of emotion at this point. So, yes, Tails is going to be very conflicted. Very, 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 very conflicted. This is a very emotional storyline. And I knew this was going to be a dark storyline. I knew it would be. I knew it would be with the whole Dark Swirl storyline. I knew this. You can't just get corrupted and not have consequences. So, yeah, it's a very dark storyline, and I'm in constant debate as to who needs to die, who doesn't. I'm definitely, I have my definitives that I definitely want to kill and have no point in, and have no conflict of killing off. I have those characters, and then there's two, the two that I don't want to kill off, and one of them has to go, and I don't want to write either one of them off. So don't write, so don't write them off, human. If you like them so much, you're only going to upset the fan base. Yes, Nightshade, but again, I have to shorten the cast. The cast is very large. Very, very large. It's a large cast, and it's hard to write everybody in because I have other things planned. I have a lot of other things planned for the series, and I got to clear cast space. So there's also going to be a lot of new characters coming into the series as well. Yeah. Let's just say some characters got off of Mobius and weren't on Mobius when it exploded. So they were on a mission. So we'll leave it at that. It's a heartbreaking moment as a writer. Yes, it is. Because when I started this series, I always told myself no character is safe from death, because I don't want to be the norm. I don't want this series to be the norm where the heroes always win and there's never any loss. And that's the thing. I don't want this to be your typical series where nobody good gets hurt or nobody good dies. And that to me is just it's very formulaic and very, it's predictable. And that's one thing I did not want for the series when I came up with the concept in my head for it 5 years ago, was I didn't want this series to be predictable. And I didn't want there to be this notion that the good guys always win, because that's not the case. The good guys in real life, in our world, the good guys don't always win. And we see it constantly in our own world, where just evil is running rampant through this world. And, it just seems to be getting worse and worse. So, and I wanted this series to be different from your normal heroes always win. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. It is hard, though, to write off characters. It is very hard, especially characters you like. It is. It's very hard. But yeah, and I know I'm going to regret it instantly. I know I'm going to regret it. Whichever ones, the ones that I know definitively are going to die, I don't have any problem with. So it's the ones that, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll talk myself out of it, of killing either one of them. But I don't know. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. Mainly because I did have storylines planned for the two that I'm in question. And I think the one that if I do kill off the one, it's gonna upset everybody. It is. It's gonna upset everybody if I wind up killing that character off. But It may be an essential kill. It may be. So that was the big announcement. The other big announcement I do have is that I'm going to structurally also change the episodes around. I feel like 2 months is a very long time to make you guys wait. So from now on, if I'm going to make you guys wait 2 months, I want to add a previous episode recap to start the episode. I want to do. I'm going to go ahead and do the Kappa slide. Must be 13. That little black slide. That's the disclaimer slide. I call it the Kappa slide. That warns everybody under the age of 13 are not supposed to watch. I want to add the previously on Harmony and Chaos type of thing. I'm going to have the Dragon Ball Super theme. Head shala. You know how they do it's the instrumental. So it's kind of like the Dragon Ball Super intro, how they do the prior. It's going to be that song because it's 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I like it. I think it's a cool song. So we're going to do that. I'm gonna do a recap for every episode. I'm making you guys wait 2 months, it seems, for every episode. So I think it's fitting to do a recap, and I'm gonna do that, and then we'll go ahead and dive in. It'll say episode whatever. I'll give the title, and then we'll go into the episode, and then the opening credits. So that's really the only other big newsworthy change, is I'm gonna add a recap to every episode. I know, Nicole. I love Dragon Ball Super as well. In case you guys haven't picked up on it, my Aeon is based off of Lord Beerus, mainly because I think Aeon would sound a lot like Lord Beerus. And I am trying to showcase my Beerus more because I would like to voice Beerus. I'm trying to find Dragon Ball related content. I want to audition for more Dragon Ball projects. And one of the characters I really want to do is Lord Beerus. So I know it was kind of funny. Last weekend, when I had my kids 2 weeks ago, when they were here visiting 2 weeks ago, my daughter insisted that I voice. She wanted me to do one. We read 2 books before bedtime. The first book she wanted me to read. She wanted me to read this book called The Skin You're In. And she wanted me to read it as Weiss, which I did. And then she wanted me to read Sophia the First as Lord Beerus. So me trying to do Lord Beerus talking as Sophia was kind of funny. It was kind of funny. Yeah, it was. I mean, I want to do it, but give me a sec. So this is my Lord Beerus talking as Sophia the First. Oh, I want to have a lovely tea party. I need it to be a lovely tea party. Oh, my lord, I would absolutely love a tea party. Do you think we can get the donuts from Earth, or maybe some English muffins, or something? Get whatever you want, Weiss. I really don't care. I could go for any food from Earth. Pizza's my favorite. Oh, that or maybe ramen noodles. You wouldn't think something as simple as ramen would be so delicious. All you do is add water and heat it up over. Well, I don't have a microwave, but I do have a bonfire. Or I can just cook it on my hand, one or the other. Who would have thought just something that simple is that delicious? But yeah, both my daughters get a kick out of these voices. I'm like my daughter's entertainment. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I'm their entertainment for the weekend. That's funny. Thanks, Nicole. But anyway, that's all the news I got for Harmony and Chaos. Is the Day of the Dead, the big news of the resurrections of Cosmo and Cream. Because again, I'm tying it in with the Day of the Dead, and the Day of the Dead, you honor the dead. If you're of a Latino, if you're a Latino descent and you celebrate Day of the Dead, you know what I'm talking about. Only in this case, I wanted to tie it in as they actually come back to life temporarily. So I've missed Cream. And I feel like Cosmo, she's made her appearance in Harmony Cast, and I kind of wanted to bring her back. and I wanted to give them an extended stay. So that all gets explained in the next series of episodes. So in the short term, enjoy Cream and Cosmo. Oh God, reflux. Mm. So again, just enjoy the next couple of episodes, guys. It gets very dark, but it there is a little bit of light in the darkness. There is some good moments that do happen. It's going to be the aftermath that's going to be rough. Sonic has, when, obviously Sonic, if he does get restored to his normal self, has to come to the realization that really all of them, the entire main five and Sonic, they got to come to terms with what they've done and what they will do before the end of this saga. And again, it's meant to be very emotional. I didn't create this series for it to be warm and fuzzy. It was not, thinking of everything I wanted to do with this series I'm like, there are going to be some really dark moments in this series. there really is. But I think that's a good thing. Again, I think it's a good thing where the good guys don't always win and they have to have hardships. What kind of series is it where, it's like, as much as I like Miraculous Ladybug and the Power Rangers, I mean, how many times it's just the same old, here comes the said bad guy, they beat said bad guy, and that's the end of it. We see you again on the next episode. Oh, here comes the next bad guy. I wanted it to be different. And I want that suspense where you never know what the hell is going to happen. So I think that's what makes it interesting. It makes you guys want to keep coming back and seeing the series. It's real life. These characters are going through real life stuff just like normal humans would. So, and I think that just makes for a more realistic series. You get more in depth. You get more into the characters that way. Emotionally, you connect emotionally more to the characters than it just being cut and dry all the time. So, yeah, that's all I got, guys. If there's any last minute things you guys want to ask me, you want to ask Nightshade or Aeon, feel free. I will stay on. What time is it? I will stay on for another 17 minutes. So 1 o'clock Eastern, midnight Central. So I will stay on for a few more minutes if I start getting some questions. If not, I'll cut it. Michael Collins. Wait, if Celestia knows about Chris, does Cadence and Luna know as well? Absolutely. Absolutely. Chris helped out with Sombra. They've seen Chris at the Christmas party that Shadow had to, when Twilight was corrupted by Sombra, Shadow had to do the party. He had to do the Christmas party at Twilight's castle. So yeah, they're all very well aware of Chris. They're very welcoming of Chris. Celestia is welcoming of Chris because he's proven himself not to be a threat. Yeah, they all know of Chris. Yusef asks, I hope Shadow isn't an android in this. No, I don't know exactly what you mean. No, Shadow is definitely not an android. He's as real as it gets. He does have a microchip. I made reference to Shadow being microchipped in episode 4 of this series. And him having a microchip is going to play a factor later on in the series. So, yeah, he does have a microchip, but he's not an android. Absolutely not an android, though. Good question, though. Good concern. Same thing with you, Michael Collins. That was a good question. But yes, definitely the royalty knows of Chris, and they're very welcoming of him. Elijah comments, I don't know why, but now I want to try to set up an aftermath moment for Sonic and the main five. Any dialogue you come up with, Elijah, is always interesting, and it usually is spot on as to, I'm glad you're back on track because I know you were struggling with dialogue, trying to predict where I was going. But Yusef, oh, thank goodness, because that's what Dr. Eggman told him in Shadow the Hedgehog game. No, Shadow is See, and that's why I think some of these video games get screwy. Shadow is an artificially created life form. He's not an android. Absolutely not an android. He's an artificial life form. Um, I know there's a reference that there's more than one Shadow. So when one dies, there's another one. I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. That Shadow is Shadow. He's one of my favorite characters, as you can tell. I freaking love Shadow. So, you know, but yeah, I have Shadow is he's just by himself. I know there's references to him having multiple shadows were created. I'm not doing that. And let me put you this way. I'm pretty sure when the space colony arc exploded in Sonic X, any other shadow should have been destroyed, unless the government had another shadow in some locked Area 51 thing, bunker or something. But again, in my series, it's just one shadow. There's no multiple shadows. It's ridiculous. Although you have Eclipse the Darkling, who is a version of Shadow, the complete evil version of Shadow. From what I run, Eclipse the Darkling is actually Shadow's brother, except he's the pure evil of Shadow. So kind of like a Kami Piccolo thing, where Kami, defuses himself from Piccolo. That's kind of like what Eclipse the Darkling, from what I read, is. I've made reference to Eclipse in my series. He's not coming. I'm not. I decided not to bring him on, mainly because I have so many other things. I'm not sick. It's the air is very dry here in the Midwest. Very dry. And in case you haven't noticed, in a prior episode, I kind of made a reference to Katana and Katrina. I think some of you guys remember when I was doing Twilight's Kingdom. Well, I ended that series last year, and it's never sat well with me. So I kind of want to take what I was doing in that series and bring it over to Harmony and Chaos. So eventually you're going to see Katrina and Katana in Harmony and Chaos. I'm going to bring that storyline over here. And keep in mind, I left off Harmony and Chaos started right after Chrysalis's hive was destroyed in My Little Pony. Sonic and his friends come to Equestria right after Starlight, Discord, Trixie, and Thorax blew up Chrysalis's hive. So now we have to worry about Cozy Glow. We also have to eventually worry about Tirek, Chrysalis again, and that. I'm also going to bring that storyline into this timeline because it happens. Again, I mean, it's going to be interesting, and no, Sally Acorn is not going to be in the series. I saw that out the corner of my eye. Although I have debated it with the next round of characters I'm bringing in. I've debated on her being a diplomatic mission, and these characters were watching over her as kind of like bodyguards and being her transport to another planet. I thought about it. But I think having Sally in the series would ruin Rainbow Dash and Sonic. That would ruin Sondash. I can't see Sonic not being affected negatively. And I don't want anything happening in Sondash. Yusef also typed in, yeah, I agree. These video games do screw up the character's backstory. Absolutely, they do. I can't stand it. I could not stand Sonic 06. That game was terrible. Awful. I hated that whole Mephiles storyline. I wish they would have did it differently. I think there could have been a much better way. Mephiles could have been a bad guy. And the whole Elise thing was weird. I did not care for having Elise being in love with Sonic or whatever. It was weird. That was just a weird game. Michael Collins, I personally think Shadow should have just killed Chrysalis the first time. Well, if you recall, Shadow was under Chrysalis's spell. So that's why he didn't kill Chrysalis. It wasn't until after they used the elements of harmony on Chrysalis. Shadow was actually still under Chrysalis's spell after she was turned to stone because they didn't kill her. So then it took the kiss from Twilight. Twilight's kiss is what broke up the spell because Chrysalis feeds on love. Therefore, Twilight's true, the true love kiss with Twilight broke that spell from Chrysalis. That was the whole basis of why that happened. And it was always my intent to have Chrysalis have a second run. And I knew going into it that Chrysalis needed to have a second run because you saw what happened in season 8 where Chrysalis created what we're seeing now with the evil main 5 or main 6. Although Chrysalis will not do that in Harmony and Chaos. Mainly because I don't want to use the evil 6 twice. So she won't do that in this series. But we saw Chrysalis return with Cozy Glow and Tirek. And you're going to see, you're also going to see that there a lot of things are going to happen in the next couple episodes of why these things had to happen a certain way and why Chrysalis wasn't killed off. Yeah. So I do plan on using the rest of the My Little Pony storyline from seasons 8 and 9. So eventually we're going to see Twilight build her school of friendship. Eventually that becomes a thing in Harmony and Chaos. We're also going to see Professor Bunduck, who was a villain in my other series, Twilight's Kingdom. He's going to get tied into the series. We're also going to see more of Chancellor Naysay. He gets introduced into Harmony and Chaos more. And like I said, I'm going to tie that Twilight's Kingdom storyline that I never finished and that I unfortunately will not finish. I'm going to bring that storyline over and finish it in Harmony and Chaos. I want to finish it. So we're going to do it in Harmony and Chaos. Yusef also types in, I have a feeling this episode will be Avengers Endgame. Similar. It's just very violent. Just going to be very violent. And it's, like I said, I just haven't decided if it's going to be 3 parts or 4 parts. I'm not, my original idea is to just make it 3 parts and have the next 2 episodes be very long. Just be prepared. The other thing is, Yusef says, is I regret buying Sonic 06 back in the day, and I still got it, not going to play it though. Yeah, it did a big disservice to the Sonic franchise. It really did. And I think it ruined Mephiles as a character. I really think they could have did so much more with Mephiles, and may actually have it make sense. To me, it just nothing made sense about it. I mean, I get the gist of it, but I don't know. I think they could have did a lot more with the Mephiles character. I really do. Michael Collins comments, I meant when Shadow was wiping out the changelings in the desert. Oh. Well, here's the thing. Shadow thought he killed Chrysalis in that moment. He legitimately thought Chrysalis was dead. He had already gotten the element of magic back from her, so then he flies off. That was Shadow's mistake. Shadow made a critical, arrogant mistake and thought he had killed Chrysalis when he didn't. That was just Shadow being arrogant in that instance and not following through to the completion of what needed to be done. He assumed she was dead. And you know what they say about when you assume things, it makes an ass out of you and me. So he basically, his assumption cost him. In the long term, it didn't cost him too much other than his relationship with Starlight and his unborn child with Starlight. That's what it cost him. So, yeah. Elijah Dodorich, he thought she was gone when the Chaos Blast went off. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, again, and I think I do a pretty good job in the series. Like every reaction has a consequence. And anytime I put something in my series, I will usually tease something, and then several episodes down the line, I come back to it, and you're like, oh my God, that's what he was doing. I think I do a pretty good job of slowly building things, storylines up, and then bringing stuff from season 1 and tying it into season 3. Especially this whole, the whole element of the ponies being from Mobius. That is a storyline that has gone on from season 1. And which, as the more Harmony and Chaos goes on, the more we find out about their origins from Mobius. And for some odd reason, it all ties in perfectly. I don't know how it happens. It just, everything I've done so far, as the pony's origins, it just seems to have tied in. I don't know why, it just has. Everything seems to flow. There's not too many, I don't think there's any holes in it. As far as tying it all in. At least none that I've caught. I haven't caught any holes. If any pony in the chat, it would be Elijah who would catch a hole. Michael Collins Gaming, I want to learn about the humans from Mobius and their relation to Earth. Yeah, that's a good question. I know for sure Eggman came from Earth. Somewhere or another, obviously Robotnik, his grandfather Robotnik was on Earth to create Shadow. And I think even Eggman himself admits that he is from Earth. So Elijah, that one I can agree with. It connects pretty much flawlessly. Thank you. I do appreciate that. And if there was one person in the chat that was going to catch a hole, it would be you, Elijah, because you're really good with dialogue. And I do a pretty good job. Like a lot of people, a lot of times I'll watch my episodes back at work just because I'm bored. So a lot of the guys I work with, like, you're watching these episodes again. Why do you watch the same stuff that you've produced? Like, why do you watch your own shit? And I'm like, I watch my own episodes because I get to go back and rewatch them so I don't screw up storylines. Because think about it, some of the stuff I haven't written, I wrote 4 or 5 years ago. So when you write something 4 or 5 years ago, you're going to forget. So I either have to go back and look back at my episodes, because again, I don't want to leave any holes. I don't want a fan to call me out and be like, well, that's not what happened in season 2. That's not what you said in season 2. So I constantly, I go back all the time and watch all the old episodes over and over again. I know what happens, but again, it ties and make sure I don't leave loose ends or leave things open or screw something up. Again, it's just, I can't tell you how many times, like, you'll watch a series and you're like, wait a minute, that's not how they explained it. Wait a minute, that's not really what happened. That doesn't, what? I've caught it a couple times watching, and it's not just anime or cartoons. It's like going back and watching like dramas, like going back and watching like primetime soap operas. Melrose Place itself. I was a huge Melrose Place fan in the 90s. There were so many plot holes that it's like, why didn't I catch this as a teenager when I was watching it live? But then as an adult, you watch, I was like, oh, holy crap, they left so many plot holes that don't make sense. But yeah, that's one thing I don't want either for the series, is just leaving plot holes and stuff that doesn't make sense and having you guys call me out on it. So I always make sure that everything ties perfectly. So I always go back and rewatch my old stuff. Always. Even to this day, I still go back to season 1. So, you have to as a writer. You have to, because you screw up your own writing that you created. And that's another reason why I don't like, you watch a lot of these television series. A lot of the times the creator will turn it over to a team of writers. So the person who originally wrote the series, they write the first 2 or 3 seasons, and then they say, I'm done. I'm going to turn it over to a bunch of writers, and they'll continue it for me. I can't do that. I cannot do that, because they'll leave plot holes. We're getting a lot more comments here. Yusuf asks or comments, I agree, reviewing the episodes is the best way to make sure they're perfect. Exactly. Exactly. Because like I said, you write something 4 years ago, you're not going to remember word for word what you did. So you do. You have to go back and I go back. See, here's something too. Like I'm trying to remember how I did this. I would say the first 70 episodes of Harmony and Chaos, I typed in Microsoft Word and I would copy and paste everything to the PowerPoint. So eventually I started realizing this is pointless for me to write it in Microsoft Word just to copy and paste it, which is why if you've noticed like the last dozen episodes or so, there's a lot more animation. There's a lot more pictures during the slides. I did that for a reason, mainly because when I was copying and pasting the entire episode from Microsoft Word to PowerPoint, there wasn't a lot of artwork and there wasn't a lot of like illustrations. So I decided, in order to add more pictures and to make it seem more like a show or a series, I was like, I'm just going to flat out write the episode into PowerPoint. Why should I keep copying and pasting? I could add more pictures. I can do more dialogue and make it seem more like an actual television series versus just something you read, you know. So the production value has changed a lot over the years. It really has. Michael Collins comments, when Sombra had the 4 Chaos Emeralds, was he invincible or did it just seem like it? It seemed like it. Think about what the power 1 Chaos Emerald gives to a living being. And then you factor in the fact that Sombra was very powerful to begin with. He has 4 Chaos Emeralds. So his power is going to explode. It's going to be much higher than it is, because he was powerful as it was. He was a powerful being as it was. So he adds 4 Chaos Emeralds to his power. Yeah, he's going to be pretty invincible. I think Sombra is a very interesting character because, my opinion, I think he borderlines as a demigod. He kind of borderlines. It's hard to say because he becomes, in My Little Pony, when he was killed off or driven off, he became a shadow spirit. So, in my opinion, he's kind of like borderline like being a deity, I don't know. He was never an alicorn, but I think the assumption for Sombra is he's kind of has these godlike powers. And then you factor that in with the element, with the Chaos Emeralds that he absorbed, yeah, he becomes pretty destructible. And they had to use the Harmony Chaos Cannon on him to beat him. Elijah, it just seemed like it. Sombra had majority control over the Chaos Emeralds. Yeah. Levi agrees with that. Levi also comments, also question, I did ask you this before, but if you had gone with the Fleetway route, would have Sonic been deranged and chaotic, or would he still have been in control? The only thing I know about EXE Sonic is that he's pure evil, which I didn't want him to be pure evil in this. I want him to have some sort of control over his evil side. Keep in mind, he is also taking orders from Dark Swirl, and he still has Rainbow Dash, his wife, at his side as one of the elements of nightmares. So he kind of does have that sensitive side to him still. When it comes down to that, the other main 5, not so much, except for Rainbow Dash, because she's essentially Sonic's second in command, and again, she has Sonic on her team, so naturally she's taking orders from Sonic still, and she does have those feelings. I don't know too much about Fleetway. Honestly, I don't know anything about Fleetway. The one thing I know about Fleetway is that he looks psychotic, like you guys have said. I don't know if that's the super version of EXE Sonic. I don't know the backstory to that. I haven't done enough research. I know he's some sort of evil super version of Sonic. I don't know if that's Super EXE Maybe somebody can explain that one to me. I don't know the whole background between EXE Sonic versus Nightmare Sonic. I'm just using the EXE pictures to kind of drive home the point that Sonic is evil and that's his nightmare form. Michael Collins also comments again, it reminded me of the Frieza saga in Dragon Ball Z because he was a very difficult foe for the heroes. Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's a good reference. Sombra is kind of Frieza-esque as far as their power. And for some odd reason, like this series seems to be going along the same route where every new villain gets more and more powerful. That will not be the case with Harmony and Chaos going forward. The enemies will weaken after this, substantially weaken. But at the same time, I'm trying to also think of all other demigods, chaos demigods that I can create as well. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I do have a lot planned for the series again. But I think, oh God, I get tired. But I think overall, the character, the evildoers get a little bit weaker after this for a little while. They get a little bit weaker. And then, then they kind of build up again. The ultimate end of this series, and I think I've made reference to it, the final season of Harmony and Chaos is when our heroes have to battle Enerjack. That is going to be the final episode. That's going to be the final season of Harmony and Chaos, where the heroes have to fight Enerjack. That's a long way away. Long way away. You'll know when I'm planning on ending Harmony and Chaos because the Enerjack saga will start. So whenever I start the Enerjack saga, you can start crying tears because then Harmony and Chaos is in its final season. That will be the last season of Harmony and Chaos. Will be the Enerjack saga. Hopefully I'm a long way away from it. Long way. Let's see. Levi comments. Also, do the Super Emeralds exist in your series? No, they do not. The Super Emeralds do not. The Soul Emeralds do. Blaze absorbed the Soul Emeralds, so yeah. She was essentially the Knuckles of the Soul Emeralds, Blaze. So she permanently absorbed the powers out of the emeralds into her being. Her Mobius 200 years in the future was being destroyed and was going to cease from existence. So she decided to absorb all of the powers of the Soul Emeralds from the Soul Emeralds themselves, which then were turned to stone. I found out that could happen. In actuality, Knuckles could do the same thing with the Chaos Emeralds. He could technically absorb all the powers of the Chaos Emeralds into his being, and they would be considered, and they would turn to stone, much like the Soul Emeralds. Apparently, that's possible. Knuckles has that ability if he chose to do so. So, Elijah comments, Sombra is an Umbrum, I'd like to believe. Umbrum is kind of like an underling toward a alicorn. I do believe that's where you're going with that. I have to actually look into that more. Umbrum. I'm not actually, me being brony, as big as a brony as I am, I never heard of the term Umbrum. Maybe I should read the comics more. Levi comments, yeah, but Fleetway isn't entirely evil. He also has a good side. Well, that's interesting. Again, I don't know. I didn't do any research on Fleetway. And from the only thing I know about EXE Sonic is that he's pure evil. I never really read the fanfics. I did Google search, and basically it's a fanfic. It's a very good fanfic from what I heard. I have seen some of it, not a lot of it. I started getting into it just to try to do some research of my own on it. But my whole point is that I never wanted Nightmare Sonic to be exactly identical to EXE Sonic. I just wanted the pictures. I wanted that artwork because I wanted Sonic to go through a dark transformation, and I think the EXE Sonic fits the bill perfectly. Let's see. Elijah comments, the way I understand Fleetway, he resulted from a negative buildup of chaos energy in a super transformation. That is an interesting storyline in itself. That is a really interesting storyline. Yeah, I don't think we're going to use Fleetway. I don't. Which is another reason why I kind of took the Chaos Emeralds away from Sonic, because I was tempted to use Fleetway in the next several episodes, but I already assumed, okay, look, I already turned him into Werehog Sonic. That's enough. I don't need him to be Fleetway Sonic as well. So, yeah, I thought him just having that Werehog transformation was enough. Yusuf comments, it's sad that Sombra possessed shining armor and the heroes had to kill him. Yeah, it was. But I needed, I was trying to think of a way to bring Sombra back realistically. And again, I had to go back to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. So the and armor is in that episode, and I'm actually kind of surprised that My Little Pony didn't use this as a storyline, because again, it was something they could have had, and again, it goes back to having show writers, because the original Sombra episode was written by Lauren Faust, and then when she left after season 3, and then let the show be ran by show writers. If you recall the original Sombra series where Sombra was seen, those crystals on Shining Armor's unicorn disappeared. When Sombra was defeated by Spike, those black crystals on Sombra's horn literally absorbed into his being, just like Sombra's horn absorbed into the Crystal Empire. Why Hasbro forgot about that? They completely forgot about that. They could use that to resurrect Sombra in the Friendship is Magic episode, in that series. But I think that would have been too dark for children. And I think that's why they brought Sombra back the way they did. But I think it would have been way more intense. I think it would have been way better had they made Shining Armor turn corrupt. That's how I looked at it. That could have been such an amazing storyline for My Little Pony. But again, I think that falls under the category of it being too dark for children. And there were a lot of other people that felt that way too. Like, why? Like, yeah, that's a great idea. They should have tied it in that way. But again, I think that was a storyline too dark for children, which is why, the fanfic series are so good for My Little Pony. I think that's why you have this adult fanfic brony world on YouTube and on the fanfics, why all of this stuff is very dark. My Little Pony could have been an incredibly dark series if they wanted to make it that way. And given the fan base, I would say most of the pony fan base is bronies. So why this new Generation 5 My Little Pony? Again, it's even more kid-like than Generation 4. So I thought for sure that when this new series came out, they were going to gear it more toward the bronies, which they haven't. This series, this new My Little Pony, is more for kids than it's ever been. And I'm kind of disappointed with it. I'm not going to lie. This whole Generation 5, I'm really disappointed with it. It just seems like it's still built toward the kids, and it shouldn't be. It's most of your fan base is adult. So I don't understand. I don't understand it. But again, I think that's why My Little Pony didn't have Shining Armor. I think they deep down that they wanted to possess Shining Armor and have him get resurrected through Shining Armor, or at least have Shining Armor be corrupt as Sombra. But I think that was too dark. I honestly think that's the ultimate reason that they did not do that with Sombra, and they brought him back in a non-believable way, is what they did. But yeah, I think it was just because it's too child-based. Let's see, picking up back on the chat. Levi comments, Super is a powered up form of Sonic the Hedgehog. Supersonic is a psychotic demon-like entity who manifests himself in Sonic's body under conditions of extreme stress or exposure to chaos energy. Okay, that does make sense. That does make sense because every time the Chaos Emeralds are used, obviously negative energy is released in the form of chaos, the chaos monster. So it would make sense that these beings, in actuality, that might be something I could use in my series. But again, I'd have to turn Sonic somewhat evil. And I'm getting, as much as I enjoy the characters being evil and having their moments of evil, I'm kind of growing tired of having these characters, every storyline, somebody be corrupt. And I kind of want to go away from that, which is another reason why I'm bumping up Eggman's arrival. Because this team needs to get unified again. The elements of harmony and the Sonic heroes, they have to come together again. And I think bringing Eggman up faster and bringing him in quicker is going to help them mend their fences. And I think that has to happen. Let's see. Michael Collins, wouldn't it have ruined the fairy tale relationship between Shining and Cadence? It would have. Honestly, yeah, of course it would have. But again, I think season 9, the series is ending. The series is ending in season 9. So going into that season knowing that that was the end of My Little Pony, who cares about Shining armor at that point? I was interested to see how they were going to do the Sombra, how they were going to tie Sombra in. And I was so let down and so disappointed because I really thought I had it pegged. I really thought I had it right when, with the horn. I mean, I didn't think that the story writers would take over and completely forget about it. But again, it goes along toward the lines where it's like, screw the bronies. We got to gear it toward children. We have too many children watching the show. We know bronies are our main fan base, but we still have to tone it down for the kids. So I think that's why they didn't go with that storyline. I think that would have been their storyline. Should have been. It definitely should have been. Michael Collins, the show is really dark at times. Michael, are you talking about Harmony and Chaos, or are you talking about My Little Pony? I know the comic can get dark, and well, even My Little Pony in general, they got a lot of criticism, and they actually took a lot of heat for the Chrysalis episode where the main 6, the evil 6, melted from the Tree of Harmony. They took a lot because apparently a lot of kids, that upset a lot of children, and they had a lot of nightmares. A lot of parents were upset over that episode. So I think that's another reason why My Little Pony kind of toned it down for season 9, because there was some parent outrage over the main 6 melting by the Tree of Harmony. Oh, thank you. Okay, so the main show. He was talking about the main show of My Little Pony being dark. Well, even Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, if you read the comics, a lot of the comics can get dark and have a lot of dark moments. That Sonic the Hedgehog can get dark. They do have a lot of dark storylines in that series all in itself too. So, again, a lot of these TV shows don't do the actual real series justice because they have to tone it down for kids. Oh my God, I am falling behind on this chat. Yusef put that's why I don't watch Generation 5. I agree. I enjoyed the movie for G5. The problem is I was very disappointed. It's like this is more geared toward kids than ever before. And it's just like, come on, man. You're on Netflix. I thought the whole point of G5 was to gear more toward the bronies. At least that's what I was making out of it from all the, over the last year and a half. You get all these YouTubers that were saying, it's going to be geared more toward adults and have a darker storyline. There was nothing dark about G5's movie. It was just kind of like, this is kind of silly. Like I felt bad for the characters. Like, why did friendship end? And apparently G4, they're going to make a My Little Pony G4 movie that ties the G4 transition into G5. So I'm assuming it's going to explain why friendship died in Equestria. But again, just the whole plot was very childlike for G5. Levi comments. Oh, hold on. Oh, God. Levi, question, what do you think of the Tails doll? I hate it. Tails doll will not be used in Harmony and Chaos. Not even a little. I haven't even, that hasn't even crossed my mind. I thought it was good as far as how it was used with Toucan. I thought Toucan made a hilarious video when Sonic meets MLP in the Toucan series. I thought that was pretty good. I'm not using Tails doll in my series. Unfortunately, not. Michael Collins, when I first read the comics, I was surprised that they were even darker than the show was. Yes. My Little Pony, yeah, they do have dark comics. And I think that's what it is. I think they gear the comics more toward the adults and they keep the show more toward the kids. Yeah, and I know the whole point was that kids were going to watch it, but when you admit, Hasbro even admitted that their fans are bronies, that their main fan base is bronies. So while it was still geared toward children, it's to sell the toys. That's basically what it was. Hasbro had the toys, therefore we had to gear it toward the kids. So the adults like the plushies, the kids like the action figures. Levi says creepypasta version or not is what I mean. Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, if that's going back to Tails doll, I'm not bringing Tails doll. Michael Collins comments, I wonder what made Equestria collapse in G5. I get that times change and nations fall all over the years, but still. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see what they do with that movie next year when it comes out, the G4 movie. It'll be the last G4 project we see. I know some people say have watched Pony Life. Well, I got about 6 episodes into Pony Life, and I'm like, this sucks. I hate Pony Life. Pony Life is terrible. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to have my G5, G4 fix. I can't watch Pony Life. It's too silly. Too silly. I know it's got the main 6 in it, but it's too silly for me. I don't consider anything in Pony Life canon. The only good thing about Pony Life was the Sonic the Hedgehog reference with Rainbow Dash. Literally seeing Sondash in Pony Life was the only good thing. That's it. The Sondash reference, that was it. Trying to catch up here with you guys. I'm going to be ending the live stream here shortly. Just a let's see, Michael Collins. I wonder what made you question. Okay, you already. Yeah, Levi comments, just a random question. What is the weirdest present you have ever given a family member? I got my sister 4 avocados and 1 mango for her birthday. Oh, man. You must wanted her to make like a mango guac. Oh, that sounds good. I wonder what a mango guac would taste like. You must have wanted mango guacamole. I wonder what that tastes like. I've never had mango guacamole. Ideas. Levi, you just gave me an idea. I think I'm going to make mango guacamole. I wonder how that would taste. Interesting. I need to try that. I do need to try that. Michael Collins. Oh, to answer your question, the weirdest gift I ever gave to a family member. Oh my God, I actually got to think about this. What did I? I'll have to come back to that, Levi. I actually have to think about that. About the weirdest gift I ever gave. I have to think about it. Michael Collins comments, if you want your G4 fix, then just watch the OG series. What is the OG series? I see, and I don't even have cable. I got rid of my cable to save money. So I don't have cable, internet. I lost Netflix. So like I literally had Netflix. Like, and then the very next week, my Netflix, mainly because my bank account got closed. My bank account, I went into the negatives while I was on my medical leave. So everything that was coming out of my bank account on automatic withdrawal stopped because Chase shut my bank account down. I was in the negatives for too long. So I lost my Netflix. I lost my Hulu. Yeah, I got to get it all back. We will eventually. But yeah, I've never even heard of this OG series. Levi comments, also, do you think Sega should return Hypersonic? Hypersonic is the white version of Sonic, right? Is that like I know what Hyper Chaos Shadow is. It's like where Shadow takes his rings off and then he absorbs the Chaos Emeralds and he turns into like an Ultra Instinct Hedgehog where he turns completely white. I think that's the Hyper Shadow, correct? Let's see another show on Netflix. So now we have a legit G4 series on Netflix. Oh my god. I've got to get Netflix again because I need my G4 fix. I cannot watch G5. As much as I wish I could, I don't know if I can get into it. I will say Izzy is my favorite. I love Izzy. Izzy is my favorite G5 character right now. I just think she's so cute. She's so bubbly and all right. I'll have to get Netflix. All right, guys. I'm gonna end the live stream here. It was really nice hanging out and chilling with you guys. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we actually got through a full episode of Harmony and Chaos recap. Let's see, we're getting more. Yeah, man. Honestly, I've never beaten Sonic 3, which would be Knuckles. Sonic 3 is not Sonic and Knuckles. Oh my god, the Super Emeralds. I didn't even realize it. I completely forgot about the Super Emeralds. Completely forgot about it. Elijah Doderich comments, I shall bid you adieu, Mr. Evans, Senpai and Aeon, I guess. Yes. Oh my god. See you later, Elijah. It's always nice talking to one of my best friends. Now, considering that my best friend, Fidget, is gone, it's great to hear from you, Elijah. Yes, and I'm actually kind of surprised we didn't get any questions. Have a good evening, Mr. Dotowich. Bye, Yusuf. Nice talking to you as well. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you guys for joining me. This was a very long live stream. I'm glad we got through the full recap of Harmony and Chaos. And until then, hope to see you guys. And I hope it's less than 2 months. I'll try to get this episode out within a month or two. Again, I would expect February is the earliest for the next episode. Until then, guys, if I don't say it to you soon, or if I don't say it to you guys later, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and have a safe and happy New Year, guys.